Hello, Internet. Matthew here, and welcome to Whiteboard Hero, the show where I bring you an expert in a thing and they teach you about the thing. So I'm here with Jason Safford. I've run out of verbs.
No.
Yeah, I know. I'll figure something out later. We are here to
I'm
talk.
still awesome, right?
You're still awesome, I
Okay,
promise.
cool.
So he's here to talk to you about finding the right and wrong people.
Yep.
Go.
Okay. So in the last segment, we talked about trust.
Yes.
And the thing about trust is obviously when you go to other people, you share,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And they either give or they take,
Right.
okay? And
It's almost like a flow chart here.
right, that's exactly right. And the big thing about, trust is obviously fear. Okay, so there's a saying that the greatest fear is fear itself.
Right.
Okay, or the only thing to fear is fear itself. So obviously, what that means is that creating trust is based on confidence.
Mm.
You have to trust yourself first before you can ever go out there and share with anybody else
That's too
what
difficult.
you're doing. Yep. and then on top of that, you have to be willing to really evaluate people, which is a lot of work in terms of whether or not they're going to be a giver or a taker. And
is it really that simple? Really that bifurcated there?
pretty much. I mean, the mistake that we make is making it more complicated than this.
Oh,
And
okay.
that I think is where I've gone wrong personally.
Okay.
Is trying to make it more complicated, number one. But number two is the fact of not acknowledging, the fear that I often have, which is that I'm dealing with takers. And who do I wind up with is takers.
The thing,
Because of that.
the thing that you put out there is that's that whole power visualization stuff.
That's exactly
If you
right.
worry about the thing, you're going to make it happen.
That's
The
exactly
universe doesn't understand. I don't want this. All it hears is the thing that you're talking about.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And then the biggest thing that comes down to, why we make the wrong decisions is oftentimes money.
Okay.
So we're afraid of losing money. Warren Buffett says it best. Rule number one is never lose money. What's rule number two? Follow rule number one.
Yeah.
However, the reality is that we're all going to break rule number one, even Warren Buffett himself.
Yeah.
And that is, we have to accept that. That's the biggest thing is that, we have to accept that we're going to make mistakes. And that actually is what's going to build more trust in ourselves. The only way you actually build trust in yourself is by making mistakes, accepting the failures, learning the lessons, and then realizing, hey, I can do this better.
Right. And I'm not going to die from the first failure, or the second, or the third, or the fifth.
However many
Right,
it takes,
yeah.
you just have to keep getting up and keep doing it, learning, sharing, and evaluating people in terms of whether they want to be a part of this or not.
Mhm.
Now, going back to the green mind, think
Yes.
about it. If you're weeding out distraction, weeding out fear, in terms of being able to evaluate the people that you work with and giving them ownership, they're either going to very quickly succeed, okay, because they want to give, or they're very quickly going to not succeed because they're just taking it from you and trying to go on their own way. And being able to identify that becomes easier the more you green your mind, the more you have good habits, the more you simply look for people that are aligned with what you're doing. And if they see your good habits and they say, hey, I want to do the same thing as you, and you say, okay, here are 10 things that I do every day, and they accept those 10 things and they start doing them, now you've got somebody to work with.
Right. And they're going to see the results naturally.
That's exactly right.
A person convinced against their will is of that opinion still.
Yes, that's exactly right. So yeah, to wrap it up is the fact that trust is really the key to accepting failure as a good thing, number one. But in terms of being able to weed out bad people and find good people, it's this. You have to trust yourself, and you have to recognize that your fear is that you're going to be prevented from getting to your goal by other people that are not in your favor. And the sooner you accept that and you say, you know what, that doesn't matter to me.
I'm going to get there one way or the other.
I'm going to get there one way or another. I know that I'm going to find the right people and I'm going to go after this.
And that's what you put out.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the most important thing that I've learned that I can share with everybody is that comes down to what I said before of finding better coaches and advisors early on.
Right.
So remember learning a landscape?
Yes.
And then I said find collaborators?
Yes.
That's the difference between success and failure in large parts, is that after you've made enough mistakes, you stop trying to bang your head against the wall. Okay?
Yeah.
What is insanity?
Defined by Einstein
Yes.
as repeating the same action, expecting a different outcome.
That's exactly right. So if you want a different outcome, you start finding people to talk to early on to say, hey, can we make this work? And if they take it on, so understand what I'm saying is that same thing of urgency, even though it's step 7, you really go back to step 2.
It's cyclical, like
That's
the hero's
exactly
journey
right.
itself.
That's exactly right. Step 7 really is step 2,
Right.
just a little bit more urgent. So you go through the process, and the urgency is you go back to step 2. Because step 1, you've already learned the landscape.
Right.
So you simply go
Just
back
feed
through
the cycle
constantly.
itself.
That's right. That's the key behind it.
See why I vibe with this guy? Jason, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right, so for Matt and Jason, this has been another fine and fantastic episode of Whiteboard Hero. Stay tuned for more. And remember, level up.